But what has happened is 99% of all real estate marketing is focused on buyers. When you go to a website, you're met with a search bar to find a pretty house and get there. Talking about buying a home is what is simple to do, because focusing on sellers is hard. How do you get someone to leave a place where they live? Like, hey, don't be satisfied with where you've spent the last 10, 20, 15, however many years. You need to go find something else. That is a difficult proposition. And when you look at what we're doing as an industry, seller content online is few and far between. Seller content is typically some generic rote content that we probably haven't even updated in 5 or more years. And we just kind of like leave it there and hope, hey, we'll get it there and somebody will come across it. Instead, we want to be intentional about focusing our effort on sellers. So in this unique time, I really truly believe that there is no one better to guide people to this through the sale of their home than the agents of Coldwell Banker. We are best situated to do that. But in order to be even better situated, we knew that we needed to build a better mousetrap for sellers. In order to do that, how do you build a better mousetrap? Well, you first start by making better cheese. And so that's why we have focused on how do we implement some changes from the national website at coldbanker.com to enhance that experience specific to sellers. So we have just launched this month a brand new look for the homepage of coldbanker.com, and more changes are to come, as well as some fantastic seller features that can separate how Coldwell Banker is viewed by consumers online. So one, it's just getting a facial lift, but there are 3 tools that I really want to focus in on you and talk about from a campaign perspective. The first is CB Estimate. This is our home price tool that will give you an estimate for what your home could sell for, as well as a range and some of the details about the property. And right now, every single real estate site basically in existence offers this. However, they all want you to fill out a form and share your social security number, what's your mother's maiden name, and your firstborn child in order to get information that is available for free on Zillow, the most populated website in existence. And all of a sudden, I know my video went out. If you could still hear me, just nod.
We can hear you.
Yep. Weird Zoom issue. We'll see if we can fix that. But Zillow is offering it for free. And all of a sudden, we think that we need people to jump through hoops in order to do that. That's just not right. So that's why we're making it available without any hoops to jump through. It's just available right directly from our homepage with the CB Estimate tool. But part of this is that we're driving people to agents to get the best value for the home as possible and getting an understanding of that. But this should be just standard operating procedure for anyone who has a real estate website out there to get this going. In addition to CB Estimate, one of the most unique tools that we offer is our Move Meter. Now, that is a way to compare cost, not only cost of living, but what are some of the different aspects of moving from one location to another. And I fully realize that my PowerPoint is not advancing because there's some sort of computer issue, but we're going to power through it. So just bear with me for 10 seconds on that. So the Move Meter is going to allow you to put in 2 cities and compare what is not just the price and the property taxes, but what some of the livability differences, the walkability score, and just the quality of life from city to city. This to me is a unique thing that no one else in real estate offers, and that cannot be redone in any other website that's out there today. This is unique to Coldwell Banker and one of the amazing things that we have that no one else does. Then finally, on top of that is our Seller's Assurance Program. Now, what is in the Seller's Assurance Program? I'm glad you asked that. What's in the Seller's Assurance Program is whatever you want to be in the Seller's Assurance Program. You see, the Seller's Assurance Program is just an umbrella term to be able to showcase to consumers that Coldwell Banker is interested in sellers and able to cater to sellers better than anyone else. There's an analogy that I like to use from the car industry. Years ago, Lexus was one of the first companies out there to talk about that their airbags were sealed in gold. And they said the price of airbags was not what they were concerned about. It was the cost of their customers' lives. So therefore their customers were worth it. But the interesting thing is that every single airbag, whether you own a Hyundai a Honda or a BMW has gold in the sealing process, because that's just the material that is best served to use to allow for the explosion of the airbag upon impact. The difference was Lexus was the only one talking about it. And that's what we're doing with the seller's assurance program, is we are talking about what we are catering to sellers. Sure, we have the ability to have national programs like Real Assure, Real Vitalize, CBX Buyer Locator, and other things like that. But if you are offering something uniquely different within your local market, you are able to include that as part of it. And we, from a national standpoint, are looking just to draw attention.
That's incredible. We can't, we don't see the slides changing. We can't see you, but we can hear you loud and clear. So I do appreciate that. Look, we often get from all of our markets, what's the brand doing for us? And this is a perfect example of what the brand does for us. You look at the estimate, which is here on the screen. You got the Move Meter, the Seller's Advance program that David just mentioned. These are massive programs, and I'm sure they've taken so long to develop, but they're just so simple to use, and they're so perfect for what really the industry is challenged for. But we're ahead of with CB is listing inventory. So this is a way for us to get in front of those listings, which is absolutely fantastic. Oh, did he jump off? Let's see if we can't get him to jump back on.
He probably will. He might have done that just to restart.
Okay, so hopefully he restarts. I had some great questions for him lined up, let me tell you. But let's just give it here 1 minute for those that are on. Please stay on and see if we can't get David Marine back on. So just give 1 second. Quick intermission.
That's when we need the Jeopardy song.
I know, we need something. It looks like Amy's asked for a copy of the slideshow. I suspect that'll be available since he was able to present it and we had the ability to record it. So absolutely, we'll dig into that and make sure that you get that. You bet. Well, if he does not come on, what I've got some great questions. For those that know me well enough, in my house is a head of marketing, and I did tap into that resource last night and asked her, give me some great questions to ask in the marketing department, both in branding, media, and social marketing. So I've got some great questions. Maybe what we can do is we can send those questions to David, have him answer some of those. And if anyone's got any questions on the chat, we'll go ahead and get those to him as well and see if he can't get back to us. But, technology is technology. It is the gift of where I'm able to work today, but it is the gift. But at times it becomes a challenge. So we're going to give it just a few more minutes here. And if not, we won't waste everyone's time looking at our pretty faces. So a few more minutes here.
While we're waiting, David hasn't gotten to the point of the dream campaign yet, but I did want to mention that we have a version of this new ad campaign with our logo on it. So I'm going to put the link in the chat to that YouTube link, but if you need the downloadable file, I'm happy to send that to you. It's a really awesome tool to be posting on your social media with our distinctive properties logo.
That's great. Perfect.
Oh, and here he is.
He is. He's back.
Yes. He's
So bizarre.
How bizarre. There was a song, wasn't there?
Yes.
How those things are. Hey, like technology, we get it. We didn't say anything too bad while you're gone, but it is being recorded. So if you want to watch it, you can see what we were talking about. But it is the gift, right? It looks like you're probably working out of your home. Is that right?
That I am.
I've got the ability to work out of my home today as well. And it's that gift that we've all got, but occasionally we have some technology issues as well without being hardwired.
Yes. Would you believe I've been working from home since March of 2020 and I've never had a Zoom crash in the middle of a presentation. So this is the first time for everything.
And it's April. So we thought maybe it was a joke there in the beginning, but Carrie had just mentioned the home, right? You didn't jump into that. Do you have an opportunity to speak with us about that?
The dream campaign?
The dream campaign. Yeah.
I'm sorry, the dream campaign, excuse me.
So to avoid any other issues, I'm not going to share a presentation, but I will give you guys some links to some stuff afterwards if you want to take it. But the Dream campaign just launched with March Madness in the middle of March, about the week of the 14th. It's already been viewed over 9 million times on YouTube alone. It is averaging over 9 million viewers as part of the March Madness tournament that just ended this past weekend with Kansas taking home the national title. And they're saying that the ratings were up about 16% year over year. So it's gotten tremendous exposure already only in the first 3 weeks. The Dream campaign is all about how you convince sellers to get off the fence and get into the market. And we think that the best way to do that is not by convincing them from just some financial aspect, but also to showcase the ability they have to dream. I mentioned before about that YOLO meets FOMO moment. We're looking at keying in on that by encouraging people, like, now that remote work is an option for so many, where do you want to live? It used to be dictated by, I have to be within 20 miles of this location because I don't want to have to deal with this commuting here or there. But now all of a sudden the world is open and the opportunities are endless for so many. So why not take that opportunity and realizing from the pandemic of, hey, life is short. Why am I sitting on the fence and waiting to see what is going to happen? Allowing them to get into that marketplace and imagine about working somewhere truly remote or moving closer to the grandkids or living in the heart of the city, whatever your dream might be, now's the time to act on it. And of course, all the financial implications are there as well, with home prices being at an all-time high, mortgage rates still at relatively low, even though the Fed may be increasing them slightly in the coming months. But putting all that together is how we're looking at that. When you add to that the fact that we have unique tools to allow people to dream, whether it's the CV estimate, the move meter that can compare city to city and the differences there, as well as the fact that we have a seller's assurance program that can tout to sellers that Coldwell Banker is focused on sellers in a way that is different from anyone else. That is what gives us a unique position and also makes it highly customizable for you all. Think about, why are people moving to your market, but also, and this is very odd because we don't like to encourage this, is encourage people to move out. Because guess what? When you want more listings, you got to get people to leave your town. So where are people going from your town to somewhere else? Being able to showcase the value of that, as well as what is the value they can get for their home, will all play into that. And we want to encourage people to dream. So I'm really excited about the campaign so far, but much more is to come as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Thank you. And it's amazing to hear how many views already. That's just incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this or not, but we recently entered the Kansas City market, and our office there was very excited about the outcome of March Madness. So
Sure.
we were watching closely for sure. So that's great. I've got a couple questions for you. If you still have a little bit more time, I know
Absolutely.
we have a delay there. So we've got Facebook, Insta, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, all of these social media platforms. What social media platforms do you recommend are best for converting or attracting our clients, right? Getting that conversion into actually having a conversation. What are you saying?
It's really dependent on who your audience is. So if you're catering to a more of a boomer audience or whatever, based on your sphere and even your market, you could do the greatest job on TikTok in the world, and it's not really going to hit the people that you're wanting to talk to. So what I encourage people when they're debating about what social platforms to use is, one, which ones are you comfortable with? So the last thing you want to do is try and force to be on someplace else that just like, you know what, this just isn't me. So what are you comfortable with? And then where is the greatest connection for you? If you're looking to, hey, I just want to impact my sphere through social, then you may be using one aspect, and maybe that's Facebook. If you're wanting to impact, hey, I want to reach a new audience, then you got to look at where that audience is and how is that being utilized within your marketplace. So it's really weighing who and what is the intent of social that you want to do. And if you want to use it to drive leads, you're not doing it for the right reasons, right? It's not going to be a lead driver for you. What social can be, I shouldn't say it's not. Very rarely is it a significant lead driver from just, hey, an organic posting standpoint, but it is a way to connect with your sphere of influence. If you're doing some paid advertising behind it on your business page, that is where you can turn it into a more of a business oriented side of things. But I encourage you to look at where is your sphere, and how do you best want to use it to connect with your business? Is it just creating social connections and keeping top of mind? Then you're using it for one way versus another.
Appreciate that. You look at some of the latest news, and you've got Elon Musk, how much he's invested now in Twitter.
Yeah.
And from a leadership standpoint, it's really that voice, it's that authenticity that you can bring through these channels. So, that's great to hear on that. So are you familiar with lookalike audiences?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you feel about the creation of that? You've got Facebook, Insta, now Meta. How do you feel about the using that to your advantage to be able to kind of, find that ideal type of audience, right?
Yeah, that's from a marketing standpoint, media, that's standard operating procedure is to do that. And typically what we're doing from a brand level is we're instituting it on what do the people look like who are visiting our website? What are their actions? Behavioral targeting is one of the things that is now rolled in under the lookalike is I don't really care if they meet this demographic criteria, but if they are showing from their actions that they are a seller or a buyer or interested in our market, then it doesn't matter where they are. That's where I want to hit them. So yeah, I think that if you have a list, and typically you need a significant size list, so that's why we're using typically those who've come to our website. Millions of people are coming there every month, and we're able to say, all right, find people that are like that we can reach on Facebook. I think any type of targeting, whether it's a lookalike audience or specific to a demographic or a geographic area, is key to do. And I'll tell you this is we are using something at Coldwell Banker called dynamic search ads. And this is how we're helping to drive further down the funnel leads to our agents and companies, is that when someone comes to our site and they're looking for a property and they don't fill out a lead form, we then serve them that property and similar properties through ads on Facebook that they will then be able to say, oh, I didn't see that one, and click through. Also, what dynamic search ads does is if you are entering a search term and we have that exact term as a piece of content somewhere on our site, we will then serve you a search ad that will be placed at the top of the page. We've seen that is producing some of the lowest cost per leads across the board and some of the best ways that we're driving interest to our properties and our agents.
Oh, that's great. I mean, Coldwell Banker is, you talk about an industry that seemed like it was so slow to roll forward and be progressive, but the things you're talking about are so progressive in this industry. So what a benefit to the whole network of Coldwell Banker. That's amazing.
Great.
TikTok's been interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got an interesting demographic there, came on the scene. It was blowing things up. A lot of young folks were producing content and, frankly, making a lot of money off of it. Right. And the way I understand it is that the demographic really rolls, and, you can probably help me with this, but around 16 to 35 years old, right. Yep. In there is actually the demographic that's looking at TikTok. I'm a bit older than that, and I see it being rolled in my own house. Right. So it is true. It's actually happening. Right. But what I find interesting about that is we have folks on this call that also use TikTok from getting in front of their audiences. And I've seen a mix of use. I've seen folks that use sort of static image, stock imagery to get some things going on that you could see in some of the other things outside of TikTok. But then you talk about this user-generated content, right? These folks are actually coming on scene, they're giving that clip. What have you seen is the power of our agents being able to produce that kind of content, either from a client that just moved into a house and said, oh my gosh, I did this, that kind of third party validation stuff. How great is that compared to some of the more static things that are going on for our agents?
Yeah, TikTok, obviously it started as, hey, teenagers doing dance moves on it to fancy like by a walk, and stuff like that. But actually TikTok from a content perspective, very big in the how-to side of things as well, where there's tons of tutorials and videos. It's really become a platform for that as well. That's where I think there's an interesting opportunity from a real estate perspective, is to share like how to, whether it's what to consider when walking in an open house. What are some of the things that you should, the 3 questions you should ask an agent? Thinking of those types of things, or what are the questions that people are asking you? And then how can you turn that into something that is a simple and intuitive and interesting video? Is a great way to use that. it does take some time and effort, I think, on TikTok to really make it worth your while. Those who have a little bit more of a outgoing personality, gregarious in nature, tend to do better. Where on some other platforms, whether it's on like an Instagram stories or whatever, you can get away with, hey, I'm just going to put up some static images and then have some builds with some text on it. So it's almost like a miniature, prettier presentation style. So for those looking at TikTok, I think that that's a great avenue. That real estate chick on TikTok is a Coldwell Banker agent out of the Maryland area. If you want to check her out, she does a fantastic job on that. I think she credited 30 closings last year to her activity on that platform.
Wow, that is great advice. You know, connecting with the client, seeing that kind of content, and you know, I've looked over the shoulder at some of the TikTok rolling here in my family, and you know, I understand the outwardness that it might take to be able to get in front of the camera and have a conversation. You don't know who's watching, but I've also seen where folks are doing those sort of, I'm the trusted advisor in this. Yeah. In this realm, right? But it's just a screenshot. So they're doing voiceover screenshot showing somebody how to do something. So I think depending on, it doesn't matter what scale you are from being able to get in front of a camera and do that. It's a powerful, powerful thing. So
yeah, I've been preaching video for the last, 8 or 9 years. I refer to myself as the video troll, and I just come out from under my bridge every once in a while and stomp around and yell like, why aren't you doing video? And so here's the challenge that I give to people are like, oh, I don't like how I look on camera. I don't like how I sound, blah, blah, blah. I'm here to tell you that's how you look. That's how you sound, right? People are going to meet you at some point. They're going to figure out, oh, that's what this person looks like. Even though I got this postcard with a photo of them from 35 years ago, this is how they look and sound today. So why not get that out there up front? And you say, well, when they see that, they may not want to work with me. Guess what? That just saved you a ton of time and effort, because you don't want to work with people who don't want to work with you. And you're going to put yourself out there, and believe me, you've had business before. People do want to work with you. This is a great way to kind of get that out there and attract the people that want to connect with you and say like, hey, I identify with them in some way, shape, or form. Because in real estate, and everyone on this call, 46 participants, guess what? You all have the same exact job. And a lot of you are in the same exact area. So you have the same exact job as the person in the square next to you in the same market, but yet you're all doing it for different reasons, and you're bringing a different perspective to it. And key in on that. What is it that you do uniquely? What is your unique perspective? Allow that to be translated through video, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. The simplest thing to do is you got asked a question this week by someone. Answer that question on a video in a minute. Don't give the full answer either. It should be a movie trailer. It's not a full feature film, right? They don't give away the ending, but it's like, ooh, this is interesting. I need to go check it out. So start to share the answer and then say, hey, for more, hit me up on email or blah, 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 or visit my webpage, whatever it might be, to give people a call to action. So tease them with some information that'll make them want more.
I appreciate that. Yeah, being that trusted advisor, keeping it engaging, educational, all that stuff. You know, it's interesting. You've been a huge proponent of video, and this kind of leads me to my next question. So what about print materials? I mean, you've got brand experience, a lot of brand experience, branding and marketing and stuff like that in your background. And there has been this, well, it is what it is, right? We've got all these folks that we've already mentioned.
Right.
You know, the big six, I guess it is. Well, now we've got one that's turned itself into a meta, so maybe it's a different dynamic as far as the numbers there. But what do you think about print marketing, both local, going out beyond our markets, stuff like that? And that's, it's habitual in this industry. So I'd love to hear you.
Yeah, print has a place. I think if you're dealing in the high luxury, the high end luxury side of things, it still has a very good appeal to it. What I want to get away from is just doing it because you've done it, right? If you can measure it and show that it's working, then continue to do it. So I have 4 replacement windows and a new sliding glass door going to be installed at some point in time this summer, whenever the supply chain gets filled up. I called Pella Windows because they sent me a postcard that said, get 40% off of an order of 4 or more windows. So that got me. And I'm like, yes, I will call it, because they had a direct call to action, and they can attribute it to it because they had me put in a code or whatever it is. They can measure the impact of that. To say, though, I'm just going to do this because I've always done it and because my sellers want it, is probably just an excuse to say, I don't want to deal with trying to figure out something else. And the more that you can measure the effectiveness of your marketing and how it's producing results, the better it's going to be. The famous line in all of advertising is, I know that 50% of my advertising is working. I just don't know which 50%. Now the tools are in place that you should be able to do that, especially when it comes from a digital front. And if you're doing print, finding out ways that you can, whether it's putting a QR code on a postcard or whether it's a specific unique URL that can allow you to showcase whether this is a worthwhile investment or not, because no one wants to spend money on stuff that isn't working.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, you've got some amazing time in this industry, just listening to you and your advice. I really appreciate that. Carrie, do we have any questions that have come through the chat? Have we seen anything come on there? If we do or we don't, how best to get some of these questions answered? I mean, how can we reach out to the brand and get some of these, as the agents are thinking, gosh, should I do this or that? We always try to be the local expert, and we've got a great marketing team sitting in-house and that kind of stuff. But sometimes we'd love to just have someone else, help us with curating the answer or curating the idea and coming to a solution. How best can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we get questions all the time on the Coldwell Banker Global Network Facebook group. It's posted. And then we even have our marketing directors channel for those that are a part of your marketing team, that my team is looking at all those posts and saying like, oh, here's the question that's out there. So I think that's an easy and simple way to do it. But attending the different events, connecting with people there, that is the way that you can establish relationships as well. So encourage everybody. I know it's a ways off with the Gen Blue experience in Phoenix in October. That's a great time to be there. And you'll get to not only learning and be entertained, but you'll make those connections that will help you give that frame of reference, whether it's someone with the brand or someone with an office down the street or 3,000 miles away, to make those connections. And if you get any questions about like, hey, his presentation cut out and I was really hoping to ask about X, Y, and Z, just let me know and I'd be happy to answer those as a follow-up.
I really appreciate that. So you kind of segued into Gen Blue, and I was going to ask you the obvious question: are you going to be there? Any teasers there? Anything you can give us as far as like, are we doing any announcements, anything like that? Is there anything new on the horizon that we can get excited about?
Yeah. So I believe registration is going to open up in May. We're working through different talent options and special speakers and all that there. I'm really looking at it as the ability to showcase how the Dream campaign has worked. How are we progressing on a seller strategy? Hopefully sharing some amazing successes, and then a look at what's ahead. Because that's the thing about when you're making updates to a website and a thing like this, is that it's not like, oh, we're done and now it's over. It's a process. So there will be another phase coming of changes to coldbanker.com. So hoping to share some of that at Gen Blue and a look ahead.
That's awesome. It's going to be good to really get everybody back together, I think, in somewhat the new normal, but more of a normal stance than it's been over the last couple of years. Thank you so much for your time. When you were off real quick, we had one of our agents ask if we could get the actual footage of what you were presenting. So maybe if that's all right, we can reach out, or is there somewhere we can source that easy ourselves? Or
I could just send it to Carrie and say, hey, here's the PDF version of the presentation. Obviously the YouTube Banker YouTube channel, youtube.com/Coldbanker, has the Dream campaign, all the variants of it. And we even have a customized version for your company that's available on BrandServe. If you just go in today, you can download a custom copy right there.
Okay, appreciate that. We did have one question come in from our managing director, one of our managing directors in Colorado. What marketing is not working? Great question. What's antiquated? What's not working? What should we absolutely stay away from?
Anything you can't measure, anything that you don't know whether it's working or not. I mean, that could be, I would say, if you're doing classified print ads, that's probably safe to say that's probably dead. But it really comes down to what is working or not. I could say email marketing. I'm not a fan of banner ads either. I avoid that at all costs from our national media buy, unless it is specifically intended to be a brand specific effort. So if I do a full page takeover of the Yahoo homepage, that is in order to get people aware that Coldbanker exists and is offering this or that. But I look for things that can truly measure and that are driving the goals that I have set in place. So what I would encourage you to do is set your goals appropriately and not just focus on if it's social, on likes and impressions, but really what you want to come out of that. This is not a real estate example, but recently I also do marketing for my son's high school. and that we bought a billboard on the street that leads up to the school. We had an open house on Monday night, and the principal comes up to me and says, "You'll never guess where this family came to us from, the billboard." And we got it cheap. And I think it was like $750 to put the billboard. I was like, if they enroll, that is the return on investment that I need and recovered for the year from the billboard. So that is how I'm able to measure it. So figure out what is the goal that you want people to do, and then which of your marketing arsenal is actually driving to that most efficiently, and make adjustments from there.
All right. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's putting on your lab coat and track and measure, right? And that's really what you've got to do to see the value. Thank you so much for your time. Do you have any questions for us before you leave?
Oh, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, I see in the comments from Terry. So I have no real questions for you guys. Just wanted to say thank you. One, for the opportunity to share the story with you. Thank you for what you do to make Coldwell Banker name known in all of the different markets in which you serve, which are plenteous at this point in time. And I look forward to hopefully seeing all of you in person at Gen Blue in Phoenix. But thank you, Ryan, for having me, and Carrie and Teresa. And apologies again for crashing midstream. But you could say that you were part of the first presentation in Dave Marine history where Zoom crashed in midstream.
Well, I'll tell you what, you must be attracting a lot of our folks, because we had zero drop off during that time. So from a head count, it's been very constant. So that's good on you. But thank you so much. Likewise, look forward to seeing you at Gen Blue, and thank you for everything that you do as well. And I hope you have a great weekend. Appreciate
you too.
All right.